Something walked past a zoo fence at night. The zoo released the footage themselves. Their own zoologists looked at it. They had no answer. Something was captured in a woodland in England. Wings, horns, 4 legs. The conservation team examined every frame. They had no answer. And at the bottom of the ocean, something passed a camera in complete darkness. Marine biologists reviewed the footage. They had no answer. These are not legends. These are not stories. These were caught on camera, reviewed by professionals, and never explained. Tonight, 5 creatures, 5 cameras, and not a single answer. Welcome to NightTrace, where the darkest stories hide the deepest truth. Tonight, we go deeper. Tonight, 5 real cases, 5 real creatures, caught on real cameras. Starting with Case 5. Amarillo, Texas, June 2022. The Amarillo Zoo is a public city zoo. Family-friendly, well-maintained, fully staffed. Security cameras cover the entire perimeter 24 hours a day. On a quiet night in June, one of those cameras captured something walking past the fence line. Something that the zoo's own staff could not identify. They didn't hide it. They didn't delete it. They released the footage publicly and asked for help. The image shows a figure near the fence line. At first glance, it looks like a large dog. But then you notice something wrong. It is standing upright, on 2 legs, moving like something that knows how to walk, but not like any animal that should be walking that way. The zoo released a statement. They said it could be a person in a costume. It could be an animal. We genuinely do not know. A zoo, with trained zoologists, with professional wildlife staff, with access to every animal database in existence. And they could not tell you what walked past their fence that night. The internet exploded. Thousands of people shared the image. Theories emerged immediately. Some said it was a person in a wolf costume, but the proportions were wrong. Too tall, too thin, limbs too long. Some said it was a large coyote standing on its hind legs. But coyotes don't walk on 2 legs. Not like this. Not for this long. Some said it was a skinwalker, a creature from Navajo legend that takes the form of animals or humans at will. Amarillo sits on land with deep indigenous history. The zoo never gave a final answer. The image remains unexplained to this day. Case 4 takes us across the Atlantic, to Bristol, England, and a woodland that should have been empty. Bristol Zoo is one of the oldest zoos in the world. Founded in 1836, nearly 200 years of wildlife expertise. In October 2024, the zoo's conservation team set up trail cameras in their woodland area to monitor local wildlife. Standard procedure. Nothing unusual expected. What the camera captured was not standard, and it was not expected. The image shows a creature moving through the woodland at night. 4 legs, a wingspan that stretched beyond what any known British bird could produce, and horns. The Bristol Zoo conservation team reviewed the footage personally. Senior wildlife experts examined every frame. Their conclusion: it was like nothing they had spotted before. Not a known bird, not a known mammal, not a known reptile, something else entirely. The zoo went public. They released the image and asked the world to help identify it. Thousands of responses came in. Bird experts, zoologists, wildlife photographers, amateur enthusiasts. Nobody could identify it. Not one person. Out of thousands. Some suggested it was a large owl caught at an unusual angle. But owls don't have 4 legs, and they don't have horns. Some suggested it was a gargoyle. A joke, until you look at the image again and realize the proportions match nothing living. Some suggested it was a cryptid, an undiscovered species living in the woodlands of southwest England, undetected for centuries, until a trail camera caught it on one October night in 2024. Bristol Zoo has never provided a final identification. The image is still officially unexplained. Case 3. Back to America. Pueblo, Colorado, April 2025. And something caught on a resident's camera that ended up on live television. Pueblo is a mid-sized city in southern Colorado. Population around 111,000 people. Nothing particularly unusual about it. In April 2025, a local resident spotted something moving in her yard at night. Something she couldn't identify. She filmed it. She sent the footage to her local news station. They put it on live television. What appears on camera is low to the ground, moving quickly. Its body shape doesn't match any common Colorado wildlife. News anchors watched it live on air. Meteorologists watched it. Wildlife correspondents watched it. The woman who filmed it said she had seen it before, in daylight, and still had no idea what it was. Their suggestions: raccoon, wolverine, chupacabra. Nobody agreed. Nobody was certain. Colorado wildlife officials were contacted. They reviewed the footage. They gave no definitive answer. Whatever was moving through that yard in Pueblo, it remains unidentified to this day. Case 2 takes us somewhere most humans will never go. To the bottom of the ocean, off the coast of Indonesia, near an island the locals call Black Magic Island. Black Magic Island sits off the coast of Bali, Indonesia. The locals have called it that for generations. They say things live in those waters that have no name. In 2026, a YouTuber decided to find out if they were right. He dropped an underwater camera to the bottom of the ocean near the island, and he filmed what he found. What came back on that footage changed everything he thought he knew about what lives in those depths. The camera descends past the light zone, past where sunlight reaches, into complete darkness. And then, movement. Something passes the camera. Something large. Something that marine biologists who reviewed the footage could not immediately name. Among the creatures captured, what is believed to be the first ever western high-fin spurdog shark filmed alive in the wild. A species so rare most marine biologists had never seen one breathing. But it wasn't the shark that made headlines. It was the other creatures, the ones without names, moving through the darkness at the bottom of the ocean in ways that science still cannot fully explain. Marine biologists reviewed the footage. Some creatures were identified. Some were not. Some may never be. The ocean covers 71% of our planet. We have explored less than 20% of it. Whatever lives in the remaining 80%, we have absolutely no idea. If you're not subscribed to NightTrace yet, we're about to get to Case 1. And this one comes from the deepest part of the ocean on Earth. Hit subscribe and stay with me. Case 1. The open ocean. 2025. A camera dropped into water so deep that light has never reached the bottom. And something was waiting there. In 2025, a filmmaker and deep-sea explorer lowered a camera into the open ocean at night. No specific location. No specific target. Just darkness and depth. What appeared on the footage was a ray-like creature, flat-bodied, moving slowly through the darkness. Marine biologists who reviewed the footage identified it as a stingaree, a type of ray, common enough in certain oceans. But here is where it gets strange. This species of stingaree has no business being in that location. It has never been recorded in those waters before. Not once. In all of recorded marine biology. The marine biologists who reviewed it suggested it may be a species never recorded in that area before, possibly new to science entirely. Think about what that means. In 2025, with all of our technology, all of our satellites, all of our deep-sea equipment, a creature was filmed that science may have never encountered before. Not in a remote jungle. Not in an unmapped cave system. In the ocean. The same ocean that covers most of our planet. The same ocean that has been studied for centuries. And something was down there that we had never seen. 5 cameras. 5 creatures. 5 locations across our planet. A zoo in Texas. A woodland in England. A backyard in Colorado. The bottom of the ocean near Bali. And the open sea. Here is what these 5 cases have in common. None of them came from anonymous internet users. None of them came from conspiracy forums. The Amarillo Zoo released their own footage. Bristol Zoo's own conservation team reviewed theirs. Pueblo's footage aired on live television. The Black Magic Island footage was reviewed by marine biologists. The deep-sea stingaree was identified and studied by scientists. These are not rumors. These are documented cases where trained professionals looked at evidence and said, "We do not know what this is." That is not a small thing. That is everything. We like to think we know this planet. We like to think that in 2026, with satellites that can read a newspaper from space, with sonar that can map the ocean floor, with cameras on every corner of every city, we know what lives here with us. But the Amarillo Zoo footage says otherwise. The Bristol Trail camera says otherwise. The waters off Black Magic Island say otherwise. Something is out there. Multiple somethings. Living alongside us. Moving at night. Caught on camera for just a moment before disappearing back into whatever darkness they came from. And the cameras kept rolling. But the creatures were already gone. 5 cases. 5 cameras. 0 explanations. The world is stranger than we think. And darker than we know. If this stayed with you, share it with someone who won't sleep tonight. Subscribe to NightTrace. And I'll see you in the dark.